G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Bounty Riders podcast. We're up to episode 49 and we do have a lot to talk about as always. First off, we do have some news regarding the Tassie team coming to the AFL. We also have some news about a mid-season trade period coming in 2025. And we'll be taking a look at our AFL fantasy teams as the February edition. And of course our World Sports segment where we'll take everything around the world. But let's roll the intro and get straight into it.
And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be more than just AFL this next season.
It's at the handle at the back. Nick Dankos to get the pies home! He's done it!
So guys, welcome back, and we've got my co-host and my brother Jack as always for episode 49. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, I guess. It's kind of a new little setup. This is only going to be for one episode because we have a lot planned for episode 50 as we have discussed. Big episode next week, of course.
Yeah,
we raised the bat for the first time.
Yeah, pretty excited, so.
You're excited, are you?
Yeah.
You're clearly showing it.
Yeah, I always show my excitement, I think.
Yeah, I know, it's really proven.
Yeah.
So if there are any issues like the glaring light, I've tried to block it out. Just maybe listen to this one on Spotify, okay? If that glare annoys you, and if you are on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars. I always mention that at the end of the episode, but we'll mention it at the start first. But before we get into everything, the AFL finally released the AFL tipping on their website. So we will be having an AFL tipping comp this year, and the winner of the tipping comp, if you can beat me and my brother, which won't be that hard because we're not the best at tipping, we're better at fantasy, and we're not even that good at that. But on screen right now, I will put down the tipping comp that you guys can join. It is MSWUTX9K. That is the code to join our AFL tipping comp, and if you win, we will be giving away a $125 gift voucher for the AFL store. Now, we also have an AFL fantasy comp this year, and the code for that is on screen right now as well. As you can see, it's VDCR926F. I really need to squint to look at that. But if you join that and the AFL Fantasy League as well, you will have a chance to win a $125 gift voucher as well. So we're giving away 2 gift vouchers for the winners of the tipping comp and the AFL fantasy comp as well. And also the AFL tipping we're using is the AFL official tipping comp. So yeah, just make sure to join those up right now, guys. And yeah, get excited because we've got a lot of stuff coming this year. And yeah, this is really just the beginning. We have a lot more announcements to be coming next week. In episode 50, I'm actually really excited to be doing that episode, and I'm going to show you how excited I am. But anyway, let's get into our first AFL story. Now, obviously, we've heard that the Tasmanian team will be coming in 2028. I think that's right.
I thought it was 27.
No, I think it's 2028.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2028, it says right here on my article, so...
I don't know why he's looking for it, if he knows it.
Anyway, in the next month or so, the Tassie team will finally get its announcement of the team colours and the name reveal. Now, I think everyone kind of wants Tassie Devils. I think it's pretty safe to say.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
But the colours will be interesting. So the state colours for their state team is like dark green, a reddish colour, and yellow. I think that's right. And a bit of black for the outline. I don't know if that would be good for an AFL team. Like, I'm thinking of they try, because obviously they're a new team. You think of like the Giants and the Gold Coast, they went for really bright colours. Yeah. And you'd think they're trying to attract a bit of a younger audience as well. I think this is going to be a little bit different to the Gold Coast and the Giants because obviously they're a new club in rugby states. This is a football state, Tasmania. So do you think that really has a big deal on it? And if so, what colours would you like to see?
I don't think it does. I think Tasmania have wanted a team for so long. The colours, I don't think really matter in a way. I think that, to be honest, I think it's going to be the green, red, yellow. They're going to pick from those 3. I don't know if they'll use all 3. They might just pick 2 of them. I think a green and red, would be good.
Well, to be fair, there's no AFL team that uses green currently, I don't think.
No.
I think
Green was on the old Freo.
Yeah, obviously, but not anymore. I think also that I don't know if they'll use green as a mainstay, just because I know this sounds a bit stupid, but a little bit of colour clash with the grass on television. I don't know if that will be something that they think about. Red is obviously a main use of teams. I wouldn't be surprised if they go maybe green and yellow or green red. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with like a lighter green, just because it's more standout-ish. But yeah, I think that will be revealed. I would be still, even though they had like little, I don't know, sort of pseudo legal troubles with going with Tassie Devil, I would be very surprised if it's not the Devils.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just the most normal thing that it could be, really.
I think it would be a nice name for them too, the Devils. I think it's a really nice, cool name.
Yeah.
I think that that's a name that we would like to see. I think every single AFL fan would like to see. I think there was a little bit of a meme going around, that'd be the Tassie Trouts. I don't know about that. I don't know about a fish name for the AFL team. Is there any other name you'd like the Tassie team?
Well, they could go with some sort of fish or something and use the fact that they're a different place in Australia. They're not attached to anything.
Not the mainland.
Yeah, they're not on the mainland sort of thing. So they could use this a fish or a maritime thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's not one in the AFL currently, so maybe. I just hope it's not a bird, though. We've got so many bird teams.
Yeah, we don't need another bird.
Yeah. I wouldn't love to see, like, if they... I don't know, they wouldn't be able to because of, like, copyright and, like, all that sort of stuff. But imagine the mascot being the Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes. That'd be sick. But, yeah. That was kind of the news we had about that so far. So in the next month or so, they will be announcing the colours and the name, like the mascot team name that obviously I think they will just be Tasmania. I don't think they'll be Hobart. I think they will be Tasmania.
I think they have to be Tasmania.
Because there obviously can't be two teams there, so it's not like they have to worry about that every time soon. But yeah, I think that will be pretty fair enough. And I really hope that they do start off well as well. Obviously it's going to be a bit difficult because Tasmania there's not been a lot of players from Tassie, but I really hope that they get it. They get the right help from the AFL and that they do get a, good run on like the Giants did compared to someone like the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that's going to happen for them.
Yeah.
For the AFL to
this is like the big one, obviously, with the new teams. Obviously, we didn't really have a new team for a very long time before the Gold Coast came in 2011. Yeah. So, I mean, Port, it was like, 13, 14, 15 years basically before they announced Port Adelaide were joining the AFL. So that was a long turnover before we got the Gold Coast, and they obviously didn't do very well with them. The Giants, they did a lot better, and it's obviously shown 12 years later where the two teams are at. Yeah. So I really hope that they launch the Tasmanian whatevers as a really good side. Well, they get them into a really good side after a couple of years. But yeah, the other story that broke basically after we made the podcast, I think it was the next day, because we recorded a bit early, was the fact that it does look like the AFL are about to approve a mid-season trade period starting in 2025. Now, this isn't confirmed to be coming yet, but there are a lot of rumours that mid-season trading will be coming. Now, I think this is safe to say that everyone will agree with is that this can't be the exact same thing as what the AFL, like the trade period is the off-season.
Oh, yeah.
It would be very unfair for the top teams if they can just pick up a big player from some other club and just take them away. I think that would suck. I think there has to be a lot of parameters put around this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Personally, I don't like the idea of this to begin with, but if they bring it in a way that doesn't hamper the bottom teams and doesn't make it so easy for the top teams, I think that this could work.
Yeah, there's so many things that have to be put in place for this to work. I don't believe it's a good idea to do it so quickly. I know they've been saying it for a couple of years, but it seems like over the past 12, 18 months, they really want it. And to bring it in within, 2025 is, I think, too quickly. I don't think they're gonna be so many loopholes that so many list managers can get through, I think, because I think it's too rushed. in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you could say that. I mean, I don't even think it's been 12 months. I think we've heard like little murmurings for a couple of years, but this is like the first time we've actually heard like this is a serious thought. It's automatically being pushed in maybe as soon as next year.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very quick push for it. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of it unless they really put a lot of restrictions on some top clubs. I don't mind the idea of... I think it will be very similar on how the mid-season draft works, how you can only pick a player if you have a spot on your list.
Yeah.
Like, available because of someone through injury or something. So maybe that's how they can do it, but... Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it could be a recipe for disaster if a team like... Let's say, for example, Lachie Schultz. Like, obviously he went to Collingwood from Fremantle in the big trade period, the main trade period. Let's say that happened mid-year. How would that have been for Fremantle, and how would that have been for Collingwood? Obviously, that would have helped Collingwood a buttload, but it would have hampered Fremantle so much.
Yeah, and obviously they won't have a lot of time to think of how to change their forward line structure.
Yeah.
For Freo, so it has to be a lot of parameters for this to actually be fair and work.
Yeah. I do think it does make it a very exciting mid-season. I think it would be a very exciting thing for, I guess, fans. Because obviously this is, like, basically this is just borrowing the American, like, their sports. That they have, the NFL doesn't do it, but they have their trade, like, their player movements all out, I think, for the first couple of rounds into their season as well. Considering they only play 17 rounds or 18 rounds in the NFL, in, like, the first 3 rounds or something, you can still have player movement. And, what's this? I think it's the NBA. The NBA, I think it's a mid-season trade. I think it's the NBA. I'm not a big follower of a lot of American sports. I only really follow the NFL, and even that's not really much until the season actually starts. But yeah, main point here I'm taking from this is this could be an okay idea, but this has to be put around with a lot of parameters that it doesn't give too many advantages for these top teams and too many disadvantages for the bottom teams.
The one thing I will say that needs to happen is that this whole mid-season, the bye round has to be done in 1 week, and you have the trade period in that week. I believe that's how it has to work.
I think that'd be a good idea.
I think that's how it has to work.
So then we're not having games. Because if you could bring in a player and then they're playing they're playing in 2 days' time.
I don't think that's fair on anyone. Even the player going to that new team. I don't think that's fair on him.
Yeah. I mean, he's not even learning it. He's got to learn a whole new structure away from playing.
I don't think that's fair on any of them. And I think this whole bye round going over 3 weeks is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And everyone has said it for a couple of years now that it's ridiculous how it's split into 3 weeks.
Yeah. Now it's been split into what, 2 times 5 weeks?
Yeah. Now it's split into even stupider parameters. I think they need to do it in 1 week. Do that the mid-season trade period, draft, mid-season draft, all in 1 week over that weekend, and let it happen.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think that's fair enough. I still think the AFL should have, instead of going with a trade period from the beginning, I think they should have gone with like how obviously English soccer does it, where they loan players out. I think that would have been a lot more fair, let's say, because players, like, you could only loan out players who are under like 20 games or 50 games or something. So then you could give players who can't get into a top team, like I don't know, Finlay McRae from last year for Collingwood. He wasn't getting a game for Collingwood, but he could have easily have gotten to an AFL club for anyone in the bottom 8. So Collingwood could have loaned him out to someone else, given him an opportunity. He could have helped someone make finals or something like that. And then they could bring him back and he's, had AFL experience. I think that would have been a really good idea as like a AFL experiment that they want to do player movement.
Yeah.
And then if that worked, then maybe think about a trade period.
Yeah, well, maybe that would have been a better option. And like I said, they're bringing this in way too quickly, in my opinion, if they're going to do it in 2025. And maybe a loan sort of system may have worked better to see what it's like. But moving players in the middle part of the season, I think that would have been a good idea. Yeah.
And then maybe that could have been implemented as something going on for, like, I don't know, somewhere through the middle of the year, like 2 weeks, you can decide to loan players out. Because a lot of the time when you're loaning a player out, like with the system I'm talking about, you're loaning out rookie players who haven't played many AFL games or haven't played any AFL games. So you're giving them an opportunity. They don't. It's not like a big deal like a Dustin Martin moving from Richmond to the Gold Coast in the middle of the year. It doesn't really it would ruin Richmond. But if you're moving a rookie player like Finlay McRae to North Melbourne in the middle of the year, like last year for Collingwood, that doesn't really change Collingwood too much.
Yeah.
But that does help North Melbourne. So that's just what I was thinking. I think that a loan system would have been a good idea. I get the AFL want to try and make it more exciting, I guess, the player movements and try and... I don't even know why they're doing this, to be honest. There seems like no need for it, but except for teams that have like big injuries.
Yeah.
Like we've seen teams obviously missing ruckman, like Port Adelaide could have used a ruckman last year. That would have helped. But again, that wouldn't have really helped for a lot of it because Lysette did come back at one point early in the mid-season. So if you have injuries from round 1 to 10 like Sydney did, and then all their players start coming back and then the trade period comes in round 13, it doesn't really help them for those first 10 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I do understand why I still struggle to think about a really big reason why we need it. Like, we definitely need it. Anyway, that's just my thinking on it. We may see that in 2025. There hasn't been confirmed news about it yet, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that front. But let's move into a bit of AFL fantasy. Now, we haven't talked about this for a couple of weeks. Like we have on the screen right now, guys, if you want to join our AFL Fantasy League, you can. And like we said at the start of the podcast, we will be giving away a $125 gift voucher if you win the league that we've got currently. So if you want to join the AFL Fantasy League, make sure to join up. The code's on the screen right now. If you're listening, it's VDCR926F. Pretty sure I got that right. It's very small on my screen. Can you see it better?
That's how I read it.
That's how you read it?
That's how I've read it.
That's what we're going to go with, guys. If you can't join the league because you're listening and we said the code wrong, just go watch the YouTube video. But I just want to go over my team quickly. So I'll show it on the screen right now what my team is looking like. You said your team hasn't changed too much.
I don't think I have changed it. I haven't really looked at it. I look at it more closer to when the preseason games start.
Yeah.
And did you hear what Dwayne Russell said? That AFL's wasting February with no preseason games?
I think that's fair enough. I mean, they're having 2 games, basically, the AFL teams. One of them is like I was going to say an intra-club. It's not an intra-club, but it's a small...
match simulation.
And the second one is like a true practice game, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Like, leagues around the world have like cup competition, well, not cups, but the NFL has like 4 games before you get into the main season. I did like when the AFL used to do that. Now, I know why they kind of don't anymore because there's a lot of injury concerns, but that's just going to happen. I mean, injuries are just going to happen. We can't play any like extra games like before the season starts because, there could be an injury concern. That's just going to happen. I mean, look at the West Coast Eagles. If you've been seeing the news, the West Coast Eagles have had so many injuries already.
Again.
Soft tissues. Again. So I don't know how their season's going to go. But let's get into the AFL Fantasy team. So on the screen right now is my AFL Fantasy team. My defence hasn't changed much, I don't think, at all, since we last talked about it a couple of months ago. Last month, sorry. Midfield, I don't think's changed much. I think I've got Matt Crouch in at the moment. That's the main one that's changed. I will, when we get to the first couple of when the first preseason game kind of drops, I'll be looking a lot more into the buys for those first couple of weeks because I really want to have Sam Walsh in my team. But after opening round, I think his buy is in round 2.
Yeah,
so
that's why everyone's a bit apprehensive to grab him.
So I'm still thinking about that one. But also, you are only getting 18 players play through those buy rounds. So I'm still thinking maybe I'll just hold through and see what happens. But that's not a guarantee just yet. Ruck, that's not changing unless there's an injury. And then my forward line. Now, this is the real big question mark, is the forward line. Now, I can see Zach Fisher, he's done a hamstring injury, so you want to get rid of that one pretty quick. But Jack McRae also has done a soft tissue injury in his preseason so far. Now, I don't know if it's going to keep him out of round 1, but that's a concern also for the Bulldogs. So, forward line, a lot of people are almost thinking you go super cheap on your forward line.
Yeah,
and then... just see in the first couple of weeks how things are planning out and maybe put some midfielders. And then maybe that's when you start picking up the forwards that look like they're going to be having a good year.
Yeah. I think it's like we've seen with every other fantasy guru said, the forward line is very, very short this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, players like Taranto, Goulden, Butters, Rosie, and a bunch more were all forward mids last year. So the forward lines, you would have stacked forward lines. I think there was a lot of times last year when my midfield was my lowest scoring position because my forward line and my defence were doing really well.
Yeah, and I think that they've done that this season because they don't want to have so many top teams having the same players in them.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the players like Goulden, Taranto, all those players, they weren't playing forward line. I mean, that's kind of fair.
So I think you just got to find the needle in the haystack of the first couple of weeks for the forward line.
You might as well experiment with your forward line in the first couple of weeks and see what happens. Pick some rookies, pick some, maybe a player of difference, see what happens.
Yeah.
With my reserves, that's kind of changed a little bit. Now, Jai Clark from Geelong, there's been a lot of good talk about him. He was, I think, injured for most of last year and didn't play too many games. I think he played 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So he's been in my team. And Matt Roberts for the Swans. Now, he played a couple of games last year, but then got an injury and didn't play for the majority of the rest of the season. He has had a lot of really good chatter about him almost cementing a round 1 spot for the Swans.
Opening round.
Whatever.
I love that.
Whatever. But there's been a lot of good talk about Matt Roberts. It looks like he could be playing off, because he's got a really good left foot, so he could be playing off a half-back role, similar to how Nick Blakey and that sort of obviously a Nick Blakey role would be really good for him. But he's also played a little bit of wing time, so that'd be really good to see. Heath for St Kilda, he's a ruck forward, 200k. There's been a lot of talk about him as well, and he's had a pretty good pre-season. The only problem is obviously Rowan Marshall has that spot locked up, and obviously that's not changing.
Yeah.
But he has been playing a little bit of forward in the pre-season, so there could be some talk of maybe him playing as a key forward early in the season, see what happens. And Manor as well for Geelong. There's been a lot of good talk about him as well off the pre-season. So I've got him. Cadman, that was your pick.
I'm still pretty.
You're adamant that he's in the team.
And I'll be the first one to say that if he has a great season, it's all because of me. I was the first one to jot that one down.
Yeah, I mean, it was Adam Kingsley should be giving you a phone call.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Anyway, and the last one I got here is McAuliffe. Now, he's a big body midfielder from my understanding. He's had a really good pre-season for Richmond in his first... I think it's his first pre-season, but he's had a lot of talk about him and he's had a pretty good start. So that's kind of my team at the moment. Now, because you really haven't changed much in your team, what I was going to do is go through some some intra-club sort of news and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And talking about some players who are having a really good pre-season. Now, there's a guy on Twitter, I'm not going to call it X, so go away, who's been posting a lot of stuff. I think he's a former journalist. So we know how we feel about journalists here, but this guy seems to know his shit. It's Nerds for Life over on Twitter. Go follow it because he's giving out a lot of good information regarding the match simulation stuff. And he does it for... I think he focuses a lot more on Supercoach, but basically here all he's talking about is players who are having good pre-season games or match sim so far. So they said... for Carlton first, we have Lockie Cowan. Looks like he's having a really good pre-season. He did play a couple of games early for Carlton. And then kind of got left out of the team, but he's having a good pre-season so far. Zach Williams, looks like he's still a few weeks away from joining the main group, but Doherty believes he'll strike straight into the 22, so the best 22. So that's good to hear for Zach Williams owners. That's me included.
But the thing is, he's always only averaged about 80. 85.
Yeah,
so
my feeling about that is maybe I'm going to downgrade that to a Nick Caulfield, depending on how he starts. Because he's a lot cheaper, and I think he can average pretty similar.
Yeah.
So that's my only thinking about that. Sam Walsh looks like he's moving well as well, so it looks like he's pretty much a lock. Paddy Cripps looks like he's having a pretty good start, and because he's a little bit cheaper than Sam Walsh, could be an interesting choice for him. And then Tom De Koning, we obviously saw him have a really good end of the year. Looks like he's moving well as well for Carlton. Not really too much I'm changing about my team there, but Sam Walsh looks like he's moving well.
Sam Walsh is the one that I've got him, and I'm going to hold him, even though he's going to the round 2 bye. I'm still going to hold him. I think everything else should suit what I'm going to have for him.
So now on to Port Adelaide. He has some interesting news. We have some interesting news that Jordan Sweet could potentially be the number one ruck for Port Adelaide because a lot of people don't know this, but Ivan Soldo had some surgery at season's end on his finger, and there's actually been some complications with it. So he had to reoperate. They had to reoperate on it. So he's only getting back to skills work at the moment. So there's some talk that Jordan Sweet could be the number one ruck early for Port Adelaide.
Well, I think he deserves it. I think he was always.
He would be so annoyed.
He was always number 2 at the Bulldogs, and then he comes to Port Adelaide, and then they straight up, you're thinking, he's gonna be the number 1, and then literally half the next day, Soldo shows up, and they take him. It's like
I thought that was pretty shitty. That was pretty rude. But yeah, let's talk about him. They've also got talk about Ollie Wines. It does look like in this preseason he's been training as a inside mid,
as he should be. I think we all know that he's the bowl.
At the moment, I'm definitely 50-50 on either him or Matt Crouch.
Yeah.
That because they're both about similar price. I know Ollie Wines about $700K. That's I'm just sitting on that one, just waiting. I want to watch that first preseason game, see where he plays, and then I'll decide.
Yeah, I think he'd need him to play like he did in his Brownlow year, Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
I
think that's definitely fair enough. There's also been a little bit of talk about Jace Burgoyne. He was playing on the wing in the ones, and Josh Sin, another draftee from a couple of years ago, was playing at half-back.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of other Port Adelaide players. Probably not too many of them I'm thinking about at the moment with Sin and Burgoyne, but just a little bit of talking points. They're also saying that Rosie just going through a little load management at the moment, and Butters looks very, very good. So that's good news for Port Adelaide and AFL Fantasy people out there. With North Melbourne, now there is a bit of talk about Charlie Comben. Now, you've heard a bit about him. Obviously, he's a tall player. But it looks like for North Melbourne, they're training him to be the guy who's taking the kickouts. So he's a very low price forward. He's only about $300K.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing him averaging more than 60 though. No, that's just my problem with it.
He's a very, like you said, he's a very tall player. So even though North Melbourne do play a lot of games at Marvel, so the wind and rain won't affect him marks wise, but
he does look like in a couple of pre-season intra clubs that he is doing very well with his intercept marking. So that could be a little bit of a look, wait and see. But that's just a little bit of an interesting one.
But the thing is also he is very injury prone, so it's very that yes, he's a low price, but you don't want to get him and then goes out the first 2 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah,
he gets a 0. So
yeah, that's just my concern with him as well. Looks like that Davis Giniak's doing pretty well as Giant Simpkin. He looks like he's impressing in pre-season, which he's actually really low as a price at the moment in AFL Fantasy. He only averaged about 80 odd last year, so maybe he can bounce back after having a pretty poor 2023. Powell looking well as well, and like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Zach Fisher is. I don't know if he'll be there for round 1. Well, no, he's round 1, right? Yeah, he's round 1. He's not opening round. So, bit of talk. So, he obviously gets the extra week. Yeah. So, we'll just wait and see on that one. But he was with the injury group at that stage. Going on to the Swans. So, I did mention Matt Roberts a little bit earlier. Dean Cox had some good words to say about him in his intra club and his couple of movements. Callum Mills actually announced as the sole captain for the Swans today. So, I thought that was interesting news.
So, I think the...
Yeah,
big finger to Kane Corns or something? Or?
Yeah, big finger to Kane, big fucking middle finger to Kane Corns. Oh, he shouldn't even be captain anymore. Shut up. The Swans. It showed that the Swans did not give a fuck.
No.
I mean, obviously cared oh shit, he's injured, but not you're a fucking arsehole.
It was more boys will be boys in a way.
Yeah, a little.
They'll have a bit of fun. A little bit of
fun after the season. Anyway, Isaac Heaney was training with the midfielders and the forwards, so he could. Yeah, I'm not getting him yet.
He's the Petrarca of years gone by.
Do you think you think he's going to be like Petrarca? He's going to get
no, that's the thing. He was always that Petrarca type, and when he first started, he's playing midfield, and then he never did. Yeah. He played there for 5 minutes every game for some
for some weird reason. I don't think that. No. I think the Swans at the moment kind of need him up forward just to see how they go. Just with the new three tall prong forward line, I don't think he'll go midfield too much. He may float through there, but I don't think he's going to be a mainstay.
No,
that's just for anyone who's going to get him because a lot of people have talked about him because he's one of the higher priced forwards. But at this stage, I'd be very cautious. I would avoid. That's just me.
I've went for it the last couple of years because they've sucked me in for it.
Yeah.
And then about round 3, I realised he's not playing midfield.
Yeah.
And it screws me up.
Yeah. They've said that Sam Reid's having a pretty good pre-season so far. Looks injury-free. I don't know his price exactly, but yeah, that's a bit of concern. I'd still be very cautious about that one. Brady Grundy looking very good. I think everyone kind of saw this happening because he's the sole ruck with Sydney.
He'll have a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
he's gonna play.
A lot of people have said that too.
Yeah, he's going to... I'll say he'll average 100 and he'll get you 100 every week.
Yeah, I think he's going to be very impressive for the Swans, and I'm very happy to hear about that. And last one is James Jordan. He is a very interesting choice. I may go pick him up depending on how Taylor Adams goes in a couple of pre-season games. Because James Jordan, same position as Taylor Adams, forward mid, 200k cheaper, and is having a massive pre-season for the Swans.
Yeah.
Could definitely be a choice in that forward role as we get closer to the season. After that, we've got the Gold Coast Suns. Flanders having a really good year, really good pre-season, and the massive news, full-time mid it looks like.
Perfect.
Great news.
What we need to hear. We need something for the forward line.
Yeah, exactly. He's been my only forward that I'm like, yeah, that's the only high-priced forward I'm
locking in.
Locking in.
Yeah.
Bailey Humphrey looks like he's impressive pre-season as well. Rotating through midfield and half forward, so not really surprised there. What is a really surprising one, which I was shocked to see, was Alex Sexton has been training in a new role at halfback. Yeah, I know, that's what
Really?
Yeah, they're training him at halfback. So
I don't know about that one. I think that...
Interesting look there.
I think, well, to be honest, I think it's the only way he was actually going to get into the team.
Yeah.
To be honest, that they had so many good forwards.
Yeah.
Quality forwards.
Well, considering he doesn't put on defensive pressure, he's not big enough to be a tall forward.
Yeah, and he's... to be honest, it was either halfback or a wing, really. I think
it was halfback, or you're sitting in the VFL till we delist you next year. But anyway, that may be a bit harsh. Took Miller looks like he is looking really, really good. That's good to see. And Noah Anderson and Matt Rao, not really any updates at this stage. Moving on to Essendon. Nate Caddy's actually had a really good start to pre-season. That's the draftee. I think everyone's seen the little clip of him taking a specky.
Yeah.
Whatever, that was good. Zach Reid, draftee from a couple of years ago, looking good. I think he's a really low-priced defender, so he's looking good. Jade Gresham, forward, but is getting a little bit of midfield time in the pre-season. I don't trust that too much.
I've never trusted Jay Gresham, and I never will.
Yeah, Sam Durham is getting a lot of centre centre bounce attendances. So, and he was actually the standout performer in one of their intra-club games. So that's good to see for Essendon. On to Melbourne. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, on to Melbourne. I think they've had a little bit of news about Jack Billings. It looks like he's going to be playing more half forward. He did have a couple of CBAs.
Nice. He's going to be playing VFL football.
Yeah, played. Oh, it looks like more on the wing. So I don't know how that will play. He's definitely not getting a spot in Melbourne's team. He's on the wing. But anyway, Caleb Windsor, this guy, mid forward, started on the wing, but also got involved in quite a few CBAs. And they've shown a couple of clips of this guy. He looks like he could be a round 1 starter. He's a forward mid, so I think he's about 250, 260k. This guy could be something. So Caleb Windsor, keep an eye on. Trent Rivers ran through the midfield and dominated throughout the intra-club game. That's another interesting one, Trent Rivers. There's been a lot of people potentially picking him up as a defender. And Tom Fullerton was injured as well. I think we may have already talked about that. I'm not too sure, but yeah, not that he was really a choice anyway. I don't think anyone was going to be picking him up anytime soon. No. Especially with Max Gawn now. I think they've got to realise he's going to be their number 1 ruck. Yeah.
They're not going to trial that with him playing forward.
Yeah. All right, next one we've got is Fremantle. Sam Darcy running on restricted minutes at the moment, so not the best. Hayden Young looks like he's playing through the midfield, so I think that we've kind of known that for now, so that's good to see. Just think that's really the only one, except for, and get ready for this one, this is going to be one that's going to be tossed and turned for quite a while, all the way up to round 1, is Nat Fyfe. I know he's been so injury prone for the last few years, but they keep on talking about how good he's moving this year. And they look like they're going to be putting him midfield. I don't know. I'm going to hold off, but Nat Fyfe could be a potential option as well if you want to go for a mid-price forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's so many negative thoughts of saying picking him up.
Yeah, I'm avoiding. I'm just saying that now.
Yeah.
But that is definitely one that you guys can think about. Next one is the West Coast Eagles sticking into WA. Harley Reid playing off that half-back and midfield role. He's going to be racking them up all year.
He's your number one lock. Yeah,
as a forward. Basically, you got Sam Flanders and then 300k for Harley Reid, and the rest you just like random pick.
You got to pick with Neil or Haystack for the rest of their forwards. Shea Bolton might be a good option though. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick him.
Yeah,
at the moment.
He hasn't really been talked about.
Yeah, he hasn't, and I don't know. Yeah, you think he would be, but it's interesting.
Not really a lot of talk about him so far. The other one I want to talk about is Elliot Yeo. He looks. According to Nerds for Life over on Twitter, so, this stage, I'm keeping him reliable. He's done some pretty good work. Looking fit. He's a very low price for what he could be. His ceiling is massive. Yeah, he's a defensive midfielder. I'm steering clear. For now.
I started with him last season, and he got injured, but pre-season. Didn't touch him until we came back.
Yeah.
Brought him back in and then he got re-injured 2 weeks later. Not going to do it again.
Yeah, I think I'm just steering clear like you said.
Yeah.
Next is Geelong. We've got Jack Bowes having a heap of the footy playing at half back to the wing role. I think he'll be getting a lot more of a opportunity this year and a lot more of a opportunity near the ball rather than playing in like a weird position that he was playing.
I don't know where he was playing last season.
Yeah,
half the games that he was actually playing in, I didn't hear his name until about three-quarter time.
Yeah.
So... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I'm going to leave that one for now. Sean Manor, like I mentioned before, looks lively and will be pushing for a spot on the side early. So that's really good news. That's obviously, if you guys don't remember, he was the guy playing for Werribee last year in the VFL. They had a massive grand final against the Gold Coast and a losing team. And he got picked up by Geelong in the draft. He looks like he could be something. Mature age pickup. I think he's like 26 years of age. So, kind of now or never for him. He's definitely showing that he wants to have an AFL career. That's really good to see. And that's really all for Geelong. A couple of rookies, Connor O'Sullivan, decent, used off half-back when Stewart was being rested. And obviously he looks like he'd be playing midfield time. I'm staying clear of Tom Stewart for now. I don't know how that's going to work. But there were 2 games that he played in his career, apparently, in the midfield. He's attended 25% or more centre bounces. And in those games he scored 124 and 152. He could be a really good choice in the midfield for fantasy. I don't know if it's a good option for the Cats, but he could be a good choice in fantasy for some points. That's just what I've heard anyway.
Yeah.
Next, we've got the Crows. Just one, talking about Josh Richelli. He has been confirmed on SEN that he'll be playing more midfield time this year. Now, He did have a pretty good start to the year for the Crows last year, but then he kind of petered off towards the end of the season. Luckily, just before I was about to pick him up, and he started to peter off, I'm like, thank God, because I nearly picked him up and he just plummeted in price. But yeah, that's one for the Crows. He's only about, I think, 400-500, maybe 600, low 600k. So maybe a choice as a forward line. Definitely a watch early in the season. Like we mentioned with the Bulldogs, McRae had an injury. English has only just started full contact training. I think he had a bit of off-season surgery, so bit of a watch on Tim English. I don't know if a lot of people are actually picking him because I think if anyone's been picking him,
He's so high.
Well, he's the highest, I think, isn't he? Yeah, he'd be the highest.
It's very hard to take $1 million player and space everything else around, especially with such a high
especially when your midfield is kind of. You're almost picking at least one, maybe even 2 players in the midfield at $1 million. Because there are a lot of them there that you kind of need at the start of the season. So, yeah. Harms and Sanders both played really well in their pre-season game. If Harms was a forward mid, I would be picking him. But I don't think he's a forward mid. I think he's just straight mid. But Sanders is almost a lock for me in that midfield, like a cheap midfielder so far. Him there with McKercher, that's kind of what I've gone with. And Jeremy Sharp for Fremantle, who, by the way, has also been talked about quite positively.
I always knew he would. When he left the Gold Coast, the Freo were going to pick him up. For me, I just knew he was just going to play well.
Yeah. And then finally, Darcy, which is Sam Darcy, and Rory Lobb are competing for the same third tall / second ruck role.
So you're sure Sam Darcy will get that because Rory Lobb looks like
looks useless, but
looks useless half the time. Yeah,
I think that's a bit rude.
Harsh, but true.
And Buku Kamas was playing in defence. So after he kicked 40 goals in the VFL last year, Bulldogs struggled at times to kick goals. We're going to chuck him in the back half. Let's see how we go.
I don't know. I just don't know about that one. I think he should have trying to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
we'll see how that pans out. I'm surprised he didn't go in the trade period, to be honest. Yeah. Next we get to Richmond. Thomas Dow. Looks like he could be a full-time mid for Richmond this year. Pretty low price. He's only a midfielder though, so that's kind of that's kind of annoying. Shea Bolton is mentioned here, but it says that he's playing in second gear the whole day. Showed a little bit of brilliance, kicked a couple of goals. Not very good to see. I'd rather see a lot better.
To be honest, it's a bit concerning. It's like, well, I know it's match him, but it's like,
I'd like to see a little bit better than that. Jacob Hopper had a massive second half in the game that I was mentioning. Jack Graham is an interesting one. Looks like he's having his best pre-season after a lot of injury-hampered off-seasons in the past. And finishing second in the Tigers BNF in 2021, he averaged 84. He is only a forward. He's not a midfield forward. He's only a forward. Jack Graham is an interesting one. He'd be around 500k. So I'm thinking about him as well. Again, I'm looking at the pre-season, see how he goes. But he had a pretty good start. And I think everyone needs to have this guy in their team as a low-price defender. It's Josh Gibcus. Obviously missed all of last year through injury. He's 256k. He's one of the only ones that I know the exact price of because he has not moved. But yeah, he's been good with the ball. He's got some running carry. He's going to get a lot of games this year because he's a young defender and they need almost a regen for Richmond. I think he's definitely going to be something that they build off of. Then we get to St Kilda, basically the last team we're looking at here. I think we've covered most of them. Like I said, go check out Nerds for Life on Twitter. I think they're on Facebook as well, so go check them out. This guy's covering a lot of information regarding the intra-clubs early in the season. We're looking at, for St Kilda, Darcy Wilson had some great moments in their intra-club game, and he was the one way back in December who won their 2K time trial.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's an interesting one. He's a forward mid. I think he's 200k. I think he's low 200s. Don't think he's full at the basement price. Brad Crouch didn't play a full game as he's easing into full training. Jack Steele looked pretty good imposing through the midfield. He's an interesting choice because we've seen that he had an injury-hampered season last year.
Yeah. And
his price point right now is a lot lower than what he's capable of. Marcus Winhager had some good moments and he's playing against Steele for a lot of those midfield games. He is a defensive midfielder, so he could be a choice early in the season. And Owens offered a lot. He's only a forward, so that's a little bit hard to decide at the moment. If the likes of like a Heath was picked, I don't think he's going to be getting a lot of midfield time early in the season. So I think maybe avoid for now Mitch Owens. But yeah, that's kind of all the AFL fantasy news we wanted to talk about so far. Maybe give us one player. So one player you're kind of looking at into the pre-season before you kind of, like, they're kind of on the brink of your team. Mine's kind of like, sort of Nat Fyfe, but my main one is Jack Graham. I'm sitting on that one, maybe bring him into the team, depending on how the pre-season's going.
I'm looking at more the draftees, like the Sanderses, the McKirches, the Dersmans, just to see where I just need some forward line, some just the forward line players mid-price that are lighting it up on pre-season that they can maybe play some midfield minutes, they can get their price up quickly, and then
work into the season, and then you can start. That's when you start trading them out. At their brink.
I'm more looking at just normal forward line at the moment. Everything else, at the moment, just looking for hopefully no many injuries, but just a forward line really at the moment.
Yep. Okay, that's all good. All right, guys. Just before we move into our World Sports segment, as we do like to forget at the start of the episode, which I think we kind of shit if we mention this at the start of the episode. But anyway, we do have a Patreon. If you guys want to join the Patreon, the link is down below. You get early access to this podcast, every single video that comes out on the Boundary Riders YouTube channel. We also have our Twinners podcast, which in a couple of weeks we will start live streaming. So if you want to watch that live, before anyone else really, because I think it'll be a couple of days later that we release it, then that will be on the Patreon as well. And a lot of other exclusive rewards and some very exciting new stuff coming in the next week or so, which we'll be mentioning more next week. If you don't want to join, that's completely fine. It's only a couple of dollars a month, so it's completely up to you. The link is down below to check it out. But let's move into World Sport. Now, currently at the moment, the one-dayer is going on in in Australia, you idiot. Between the West Indies and Australia, I think we won the first one.
We won the first 2.
There's 2 gone.
Yeah.
See, I don't think anyone cares.
No, and the attendance is shit house at the moment anyway. And did you see that thing about the pricing for the Sydney ODI?
Yeah, I think it was like $35 or something.
Yeah, and
Like
playing
$100.
a good seat, you're paying $100.
Yeah.
Like, that's just stupid for an ODI. That's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it might as well, if you want more crowds there, just make it all general admission prices. I'm sorry, but fucking, especially for the West Indies, just make it fucking $25, and then...
And you get entertained, because that's what the West Indies do in the short form. Games. They will entertain you.
They get 25 for each person, make it 75 for families, which is two adults, 2 children. I think it's fair enough. $60 maybe, I don't know. But I don't think that rorting people out of fucking $100 out of one good seed is going to fucking get people there.
Yeah, no, that's just stupid. And
they're putting why are all the fucking one days during the week?
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, what?
Today's a Tuesday. No one's going there on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
And who the fuck's going to go there on Tuesday night? They have work the next day.
Yeah. Like, I don't get some of these ODI games being during the week. Like,
I mean, maybe put one on a Thursday.
You should be doing, I think, if they want to do like a 3-match series, do a Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And you're done.
Yep.
Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Yeah.
You're done. And then you do a 3 T20s, go the same days. Wednesday,
It's Thursday. I mean, you can do them fucking 2 days in a row. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's only T20 cricket.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Like,
it's not that fucking deal.
And I don't know.
I don't think anyone's following the cricket much after the Test series, and really the only people following the Test series were, a couple of people watched the West Indies game where we lost, which I mean was very good for the West Indies. Great job from them, but no one's caring about this one-day series at all.
No, and no one cares about the T20 series. The series is supposed to start I think late in the week.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the... Yeah, I don't... That's the whole debate of should they just be playing big, T20 franchise games instead of internationals.
Yeah, except for World Cups, I think it was as well.
That's what they've said. It's like...
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on from cricket, because there's not really much going on in the cricket world. Into Premier League soccer. Now, City won today, won 3-1 against Brentford. The day before, we had Manchester United win 3-0 over West Ham. We had Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest in a draw. Sheffield United lost 5-0 to Aston Villa.
Yeah, that was a huge game.
Yeah, I think fucking Sheffield United are trying to go for a record fucking bottom place at this rate. Newcastle and Luton Town fought out an entertaining 4-4 draw. Yeah. Massive game that was. I really hope that Luton can survive.
Well, the last 8 games, Luton have only lost once to Chelsea, which I think it was the last 8. It might be only last 7, but yeah, they're on a good run with Luton Town.
Yeah, Luton right now have won. They've gone draw, win, draw. That's what they're winning at home, and that's what they've got to do.
Yeah.
And they won recently 4-0 against Brighton. What a massive performance from Luton. That's really good to see. And the likes of Burnley and Sheffield United, these 2 teams were expected to be beating relegation. And Luton Town was supposed to be finishing bottom with a record points difference.
Yeah.
And these guys are, going up against, Brighton, they've done well, but they're not the Titans of the Premier League. But they're beating them 4-0. I mean, that's a fucking impressive performance. And to almost beat Newcastle on their home deck, that's a really good performance.
Yeah.
And, if they, as a relegation battle, gets to the end of it, you need to grind out draws. Yeah. And maybe they'll feel a bit disappointed getting 4 goals and not winning. But, against Newcastle, good enough performance to get a draw. And, the likes of Burnley have only won 1 game this year, and it was against Sheffield United. Yeah. So, it's a good performance from Luton Town, and Newcastle would feel like they've lost a couple of points there. Brighton won 4-1 against Crystal Palace recently. Everton just got a 2-2 draw against Tottenham. God, I can't believe Richarlison's actually playing that well. He's actually performing really well.
What is it, 8 goals in the past 9 matches or something?
I think it's the other way around, 9 goals in 8 matches,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
he's playing really well. And then the 2 other games that I wanted to talk about, we'll talk about your game first, because I don't want to talk about Chelsea right now. Arsenal winning 3-1 against Liverpool, which brings the title race right back to even points right now. Right now on the Premier League table, we have Liverpool on top with 51 points, City on 49, and Arsenal on 49. City do have a game in hand though, so City could, with one win, jump into top spot.
Yeah, and they will.
I'll
tell you now. Yeah, and I always said that if City have points in games in hand, they'll win the title, and they look at the moment do.
Well, they've won their last 5, and their next game is against Everton. Oh, they're going top. They've got Everton. Liverpool, bit of a really underwhelming performance, really, against Arsenal. I know it was away from home, but they kind of do need Salah back now. They're kind of needing him. He should be back pretty soon. I think the African Cup of Nations is pretty close to being completed. And they gave up a really easy goal against Arsenal late in the game.
Which one are you talking about? The one where Virgil van Dijk and Alisson collided into each other?
Yeah, and it went through. I think it was Trossard's goal? Yeah, Trossard, I think, in the 92nd minute.
No, that was the last goal. Literally went through his bloody Alisson's legs. Which
so the last 2 goals were pretty disappointing for Liverpool.
The one that they both collided into each other, that was an embarrassing goal.
Yeah.
To concede, like Alisson, I think Van Dijk wanted Alisson to come in, and Alisson bulldozed him. It's and it's just they both collided, and Martinelli just literally think, thank you,
ran through into an easy goal. Yeah, but now it brings the title race right back though. It's only 2 points between top and third, and Aston Villa are 5 points behind Liverpool.
Yeah,
so I think Aston Villa are kind of gone now. It's kind of hard to come back from 5 points down, but they've done.
The thing is that they win at home. Aston Villa.
So the thing is, Liverpool haven't lost at home in a very long time.
No.
Neither City don't lose there very often, and Arsenal, not probably out of those 4, probably not the best performing side at home. But I mean, you back them most times to win. So and I want to talk about Chelsea because what a fucking dismal performance against Wolverhampton. Now, all credit to Wolverhampton. They played a really good game. Cunha with a hat-trick, massive performance. Chelsea, if it wasn't for Cole Palmer right now, would be fucking almost in a relegation battle at this point. The amount of games that he's won off his own boot or his performance has been astounding. And basically this is a 4-1 loss because I don't really count the silver goal late in the game because, let's be honest, Wolverhampton away from home kind of put the Q in the rack. How embarrassing is that to say? At home they've got Wolverhampton putting the Q in the rack. I did love one comment. Cunha got his... Cunha, like I mentioned, got a hat-trick in that game. And the first comment under the highlights was, Chelsea are going to be recruiting Cunha for 120 million this summer. So, I can't wait for him to join Chelsea. But, that was a dismal performance. It does put some real pressure on Chelsea right now because Wolverhampton actually jumped them on the table. They pushed to 10th, Wolverhampton. They are 1 point behind Newcastle, 2 points behind... 4 points behind Brighton and 5 points behind West Ham. So they could easily jump to 7th if they win a couple of games in a row. Chelsea now are 11th and they're in a really bad spot. Look, they're obviously not going to get relegated. They're 12 points away from relegation and they've got enough players there that they won't have to fret about that.
No.
But it's not a good look.
It's embarrassing on another season that they've wasted so much money on the transfer window and their team is where they are
11th on the table compared to teams like Wolverhampton who are spending nowhere near that amount of cash, and even Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle obviously is a bit, but if you look at the teams up the top right now in the top, between 9th to top, other than really City who will probably use more money, Aston Villa are up there. They're not. They've been using a good amount of money, but they're not using this over 100 million on some players that don't deserve it.
Yeah,
they're just in a terrible spot right now, and they'll get a couple of players back through AFCON. I think Nicholas Jackson. That's a big one, big return for him. But it's not good look for Chelsea at all. That's pretty all I wanted to say about that. But Cole Palmer's the one reason. And he was like a low-price player they picked up anyway.
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez having a pretty poor year considering what the fuck he's been paid. A couple of other ones. The one from Brighton, Casado. I think I've already pronounced that terribly. He's got offered $100 million from fucking Brighton. Not worth that amount of money.
No.
Fuck, mate. Anyway, it's bloody terrible to watch. But let's look at the relegation battle because I always find that almost as interesting in the title race in the Premier League. It's always very interesting to look at. So at the moment, Sheffield United, bottom of the table, 10 points, minus 40 on goal difference. I think, like I said, I think they're trying to get a record here.
Yeah.
Burnley are in 19th with 13 points, so one win above Sheffield United. But they have a 23 minus goal difference. So, a little bit better. Not much better, so don't get too excited, Burnley fans. Everton sitting in the relegation zone right now on 19 points. Still have their 10-point deduction. We'll see if they get any more. There's been a little bit of talk about that, potentially. And Luton Town on the brink of relegation, 17th spot right now. They're on 20 points. Have a goal difference of minus 10.
That's really good. Oh, I know that, it's minus, but it's minus 10.
Yeah.
It's like, it could be at Sheffield United rate. That's what people were predicting.
Well, right now, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, all have got a worse goal difference than Luton Town.
Yeah,
and those three teams that I mentioned are teams that are outside of the relegation zone.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think Crystal Palace is a team that could go down. The way that they're playing at the moment, Crystal Palace, they are a threat of going down.
Yeah, they're not in the best of form at the moment. They've only won one of their past 5 games, so they've really got to perform better. If it wasn't for Elise, they would be in a lot more of a trouble. Thank you. They'd be in a lot more trouble right now. He's got 6 goals for the year, and he's really carrying them.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about him leaving in the summer as well. So we'll see how that one pans out. Nottingham Forest are a bit of a question mark as well. They are 1 point above Luton Town. Their goal difference is worse than Luton, and they don't have a lot of good attributes right now. They haven't won a game in their past 4. They've got, not Bristol City, who have they got in the next game? They've got Newcastle, West Ham. Sorry, that's their results. No, that's not their results. They've got Newcastle, West Ham, Aston Villa, and Liverpool in the next 4.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
They may get some points against Newcastle because that's away. That's at home. West Ham, so they got West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. They may be able to scratch 1 point out of that. I don't see them winning it.
Maybe 2. They could draw both of those.
Yeah. They're not beating Aston Villa, especially Villa at home.
No.
Villa are going to flog them. And then they've got Liverpool. They've got Liverpool, then they've got Brighton, and then Luton at Luton's home ground.
That could be the game there.
That could be the game that decides who's going down and who's going up. I still put a little bit of trust in Everton. Even though they haven't won a game in their past 3, I just feel like they've got a little bit more points in the bank to get out of it.
Yeah, I think that they've got a squad that can get them out.
Yeah. They've got City in the next game, but after that they've got Crystal Palace at home, Brighton, West Ham, and Manchester United. I think they could win 2 of those games after City. I think they can do that.
Yeah.
I think they could get a win against West Ham at home, and I think they can beat Crystal Palace at home.
Yeah, they need to be able to get, from those 5 games, including City, they need to get probably a good 8 points, 7 or 8 points in that run.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mentioned, look, one more team that is Luton Town, which we already talked about. I want to look at their fixture coming up. So like I said, they've won 3 of their past 5 games. The other 2 games were draws. So they're unbeaten in 5 games. That is massive for a team who, expect to finish bottom. Next, they've got Sheffield United. They win that. They get themselves a game out of the relegation zone because Everton aren't winning their next game. That would be massive for them. Then they've got United and Liverpool. So they've got United at home. If they can scrounge a point out of that game, that would be huge for Luton.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do it, but it would be good for them. And then Liverpool at Anfield. That's not... if they can get a point there, that would be amazing. But I'm not expecting them to do that. And the last little bit of soccer news I wanted to talk about is the title race between Real Madrid and Girona. Because Real Madrid, they've got the umps in their pocket. It's good to see. Another game, I think, that they just got recently they had a game, who was it against? Atletico Madrid. I think they did a couple of good little payments there too. A couple of chances there that Atletico Madrid got through, and they got through a goal, and they got away with a point, Real Madrid, which is really good to see. But fuck me. Girona got a draw in their last game, which cost them their top spot, so against Real Sociedad, so that was really disappointing. But the next game, and this happens on, where is it? Sunday, February 11th, which is for us. So, yeah, people in Australia, Sunday. Real Madrid versus Girona at the Bernabeu. Right now, if Real Madrid win it, they'll be 5 points clear. Probably take away the title at that point. they've still got, after that game, there's still like about 15 games, but you got a 5-point lead. If Real Madrid have a 5-point lead, it's going to be very hard to catch up to them. But if Girona somehow win the Bernabeu, they'll be on top again. And it will set up for a really good finish in the La Liga. I'd love to see Girona win it. It'd be so funny that we have to kick Manchester City out of the fucking Champions League because of Girona. That would be so funny. Because if you don't know, they're both owned by the same owners, and in the Champions League, only one team can play in the Champions League with one owner. So if Girona were to win it and City were second, I think that... Sorry, if City finished top, I think City would get it. But if City finished lower than first and Girona won, then City probably would have to be kicked out of it. I would think.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that one plays out. They are still 6 points in front of Barcelona, though, Girona. Barcelona are currently on 50 points. Atletico are in fourth with 48. And then Bilbao are on 45. And Real Sociedad holds sixth spot right now with 37 points. It's kind of really all the soccer stuff I wanted to take a look at. Not really much going on in the NFL at this stage, obviously. They had the Pro Bowl. I didn't watch too much of it. It was just a real muck around, which is like whatever. They don't even have the Pro Bowl game anymore. They just have touch. What do they have? Touch?
Flag football.
Flag football. So they don't even have touch.
I think that's more for closer to the Olympics coming up when they're having flag football introduced into it. So they want to hype that up a bit. So.
Yeah, that's true. But the big news coming out of the NFL is on the Nickelodeon.
I thought this was good.
On the Nickelodeon, because for some reason Nickelodeon broadcast NFL games, but they put these like weird layovers and stuff, like slime when they score a touchdown. Really weird. I don't know why kids would even want to watch that. It's like, if you're not going to get kids involved in NFL, why the fuck would slime get them watching it? Oh my god, this fucking slime! Oh, Kelsey scored a touchdown! Epic dub! Anyway, SpongeBob, the song that he sings in one of the episodes, I'll try and find what the name of it is. Sorry, we had to cut around that because I was trying to find the song. So apparently on the NFL broadcast on Nickelodeon, they're going to be having like a weird kids cast or whatever the fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're going to have like Roblox involved in it. It's going to be a huge shabab. I don't know what the fuck this is going to be attracting kids for. Because I mean, do they even watch SpongeBob anymore? Do they even have new episodes?
Yeah, I don't know if there's new episodes, but...
Do they watch much SpongeBob? I don't know. I mean, I would, but I'm not. But obviously, I would watch The Simpsons. And the kids, if they watch The Simpsons now, they're like, what the fuck is this? Why the fuck do they look so weird? Anyway, in the pre-game, they're going to be playing the song Sweet Victory. So that's the song in the SpongeBob when he sings in the stadium. Sweet Victory, yeah. You know that song.
Yeah.
Absolute banger. I remember when I last heard when I watched that SpongeBob episode, I added that song straight to my playlist on Spotify because it was just that. And SpongeBob sings it with such gusto. That's going to be played. I think that's better than fucking... Do you even know I don't even know what the halftime entertainment is this shit.
I did hear about it today. I can't remember.
I think Taylor Swift has done a real... she should have done it. That's pretty poor of her, to be honest.
You know what I was... Yeah, no,
too busy thinking about the relationship.
I've got a bet for it. I'll say now. If Kansas City win the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce will propose to her. I'll call it now. If they win, he'll propose to her. I'll call it now.
Alright, big call.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave the episode there. That's a big call. Alright. So, to leave this episode, guys, a quick little thing. We really hope that you watch next week's episode. We want you to watch it, episode 50. We've got a lot of stuff coming. We're super proud of it. We've got, I think, 2 massive things that you guys need to take a look at. I'll mention the other one to you after. You probably know it, but I'll mention it to you anyway. We really want you to watch it. It's something a little bit scary, but we want you to really get involved in it. It's something to do with the footy, so I think you guys will get around it if you guys... obviously you watch the footy. What the hell would you be watching us for? But yeah, we really hope you join, take a look around. If you do want to join the Patreon, we'll probably announce it there earlier. So make sure to join the Patreon if you want to. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify if you did enjoy this episode. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe on YouTube. It would look a lot better than this next week, the podcast. Sorry about the glaring light. We didn't really think for that, but yeah, we've got something exciting for you next week, the look-wise and something to announce. But thank you for watching. Anything from you, Jack? I think you've left us with a pretty good prediction for next week.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce on one knee, proposing to Taylor Swift if they win.
Yeah.
That's what we'll leave you with.
I'll call it now.
Yeah. All right, that's what we'll leave you with this week, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you next week, guys.